declared bankruptcy. So the plot thickens. The NFL says it will also join the investigation like MLB on this Al Jazeera report. Skip Bayless.
Yes, Molly.
Your reaction.
Molly, Stephen A., my reaction was that initially I was impressed that baseball jumped right in, despite, as Molly said, the fact that Ryan Zimmerman filed suit against Al Jazeera while it was still afloat. And they said, we're going to conduct our own investigation. And now they've announced, as Molly also said, that they are going to use the help of the United States Anti-Doping Agency to conduct their own investigation. Pretty impressive. And baseball has been cutting edge since baseball looked so foolish through its steroid era. But it did appear to me that along this trail, the NFL dragged its feet on saying, I guess the first time yesterday, that finally, yes, we are also following up with our own investigation, because also included in this report, as we all know, Peyton Manning, James Harrison, and several Green Bay Packers. So I think it is incumbent upon the National Football League to also check into it. Will anything come of it? I don't know. Probably doubt it, especially concerning Peyton. But let's go back to the report. Charlie Sly was secretly taped, as Molly said also. Then he recanted what he said on secretly taped camera. And my read of that was because he did not want to be a whistleblower. He was an unwitting whistleblower. And all of a sudden, he was at risk of burning all the bridges to all the athletes he wanted to continue to work with professionally as he went on to develop his own career in this area. And all of a sudden, he was going to be the odd man out. He was going to be a pariah. Nobody's going to want to work with a whistleblower when he didn't want to be a whistleblower. But I carefully listened to what Charlie Sly said, and it had elements in it of credible detail, at least enough that the NFL, or certainly MLB, should follow up. And now to Peyton. Is it at least plausible that after 4 neck surgeries that Peyton would resort to using HGH only to heal and recover? Trust me, I know a lot. I've never used HGH myself, but I know a lot of people who do and have. It works. It's a medical marvel. In fact, I can envision one day in the future when the NFL, the most injurious sport on our planet, would legalize the use of HGH to recover and heal. And obviously, at this time, the NFL was not testing for HGH when Peyton allegedly used it. Now, as we know, he has angrily denied it. I accept that, but I'm just saying it's plausible enough in this scenario. Do you want to follow up and check it out? Sure. Will anything come of it? I doubt it. But the NFL doesn't look great right now in that it didn't leap to say, gee, we need to follow up on this report.
Well, I completely agree with you on that, Skip Bayless, because if they were a bit reluctant and lackadaisical in pursuing this, one would attach the motivation behind that to one Peyton Manning. The fact that he's the golden boy loved so dearly, and obviously somebody that is considered just an iconic figure in NFL annals. And when you consider how upstanding he is and has been, along with some of the things that the NFL has been in the news that has not been so positive over the last couple of years, then it would stand to reason that you don't want to put yourself in a situation where now even Peyton Manning is sullied because, my Lord, what faith can you have in an NFL athlete? I mean, albeit for totally different reasons. A Ray Rice, a Greg Hardy, the Adrian Petersons of the world, and then you turn around and Peyton Manning too. I mean, that's just a disaster in the eyes of the NFL. So let's take that into consideration. But I would also say to you that Peyton Manning's vehement denials I take very, very seriously, because how outspoken, how demonstrative he was, how emphatic he was in his denials resonates with me. If you're going to deny something, that's the way you do it. Make no mistake about it. And also, let's take into account this, Skip. You know, again, the report stated that HGH was mailed to the home in his wife's name. So now you brought his wife into the equation, which obviously would infuriate any decent man, because you're going to protect your woman come hell or high water. It's what you're supposed to do, okay? So we understand that element. But let's also take this into consideration as well. When you look at Peyton Manning, the reason why, Skip, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, I've repeatedly stated this. One of the reasons why you don't get caught up in PEDs, HGH, whatever you want to call it, compared to what you would do with Major League Baseball, is because Major League Baseball is a numbers game. Your numbers highlight your level of greatness. It accentuates and punctuates your contribution to the game. And because of it, it can make you a Hall of Famer, et cetera, et cetera. In football, it's so violent. It is entirely plausible that you might use something to simply heal. And when it comes to that, the violence that we witness in the game of football and what these guys have to endure, from a societal perspective, we are far more forgiving for NFL players when it comes to the thought of HGH or anything. All you have to do is accentuate the point that it expedites the healing process. And America as a society is going to forgive you when it comes to football because we see how violent the sport is.
Yep.
And so when you take all of those things into consideration, yes, the investigation is good. Yes, the NFL and the MLB working together with USADA to come, to investigate matters and to do whatever they need to do. Yes, we support that because we don't want cheating. But as a football player, as long as you're willing and you can prove that you're pointing to expediting and facilitating the healing process, you will never be condemned in our society for that.
Yep, I agree.
Because it's so violent, and we see how violent it is, that we'll give you a pass with football. We ain't going to do it with everybody else, which is why I can also understand why the NFL dragged their feet. Number one, because you don't want to sully Peyton in any way. And number two is because it may not be as big of a deal to you in football as it is in baseball, because you know how violent the sport is, and baseball doesn't have that excuse.
Yeah, by the way, it's not completely fair to say the NFL dragged its feet, because it did announce a couple of days after the Al Jazeera report, I think it was December 28th, that it would follow up. But it looked worse yesterday, maybe, with the announcement by MLB that, hey, we are going to recruit the assistance of USADA to follow up on our side. So
Well, that's what I was saying.
Okay, I got it. Now, back to your first point about the vehement denial. The only reason I always remain suspicious, and you've been doing this a long time also, you've been through a lot of these, how many vehement, angry denials did we hear in the past about PED use that were flat-out lies? How many Lance Armstrongs did we go through? Rafael Palmeiro in front of Congress, A-Rod, Marion Jones, I can go on and on. No, never, ever, ever did I ever do that. No, you did. And I'm not certainly condemning Peyton here. I'm not saying he's guilty. Nope. I'm just saying I always remain a little skeptical and slightly suspicious.
And I'm saying to you, I agree with you, and I'm with you. It's just that, how can I put this? As a human being, your body of work needs to mean something to us. When we think about the society that we live in, one of the things that I don't want to be a part of is assisting in this notion that you get to ignore, you get to just ignore a body of work because of one situation. It's like if somebody has marched with integrity and their reputation has been impeccable, then I don't think somebody should be able to use just any old thing to just shred that apart or to bring that into such questions that all of a sudden we're looking at them with a raised eyebrow. I know it's inevitable. I know it has to happen, particularly when an investigation is going on. But the ease with which somebody could do that is something I think should alarm us all, because your body of work needs to stand for something. It needs to mean something. And if we can't sit up there and give Peyton Manning, the benefit of the doubt, who can we possibly give it to? And that's just how I'm thinking.
Well, a lot of people would have said that about Lance Armstrong, but right? Oh.
Well, Lance Armstrong had a whole bunch. Lance Armstrong had a whole bunch of critics, and more importantly than anything else, I mean, This brother will put Donald Trump to shame when it comes to attacking people that he thinks attacks him.
Okay, but
and
that
that's
was
what Lance
after
Armstrong
he
did.
was accused finally and found out, right? For a long time, as he was winning all those tours, he was Live Strong.
He wasn't a model citizen.
You know,
Lance Armstrong, he did the Live Strong
Yeah.
Foundation and fighting against cancer. I understand that. But how he attacked folks and tried to ruin them, I mean, that was well
as he was
documented.
going down, he fought back with a lot of low blows. Yep.
And then obviously that sit down we all saw with Oprah. Again, I just want to mention this. Al Jazeera America has declared bankruptcy. So this story, very, very interesting. Up next, we switch gears back to the NBA. Breaking Bad. Griffin knocked out of the Clippers lineup after breaking his hand